place. But on January 18, we're back at the Court of Appeal to challenge that for the final hearing, and after that, hey, we'll be waiting for the judges to give a final decision. We'll see how that goes. You can't celebrate anything when you're dealing with a system that is completely under manipulation. But I just want to give you guys a background to it and then see how we can talk about this. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming on this show tonight. We're trying very hard at 2019 in those days where we raised funds, and it was just some of the best, most interactive platforms. And people have been asking, why are you coming back on the couch? I can't make a promise, but definitely our time on the couch is coming back. It is coming back. It's just, it may not be exactly when you expect it, and we're going to use it for better purposes. We need to retire and send packing all these criminal elements who are trying to bring themselves back into our political space. You know, in the course of this conversation, I think we'll talk about this interesting political developments in Nigeria. Tinubu with his no knees, you know, corruption, baggage, wants to become your president. I'm like, you know me, I would never accept somebody who is not fit or proper to be president of a nation. That's why we are the most cowardly person that I've ever heard of. He was vice president, law professor. He was vice president of the guy who doesn't even know his left from his right, can't do stuff, and now he wants to be president. On Atiku, you know, whose only achievement in office was when he was in power. Olusegun Obasanjo. The only thing they did was ASU went on strike, and they awarded themselves university licenses. So he owns the American, they call it ABTI, it's something American. Here is ABTI in Yola. Nothing. These guys have nothing to offer, and not completely in support of, oh, everybody for me. But I was also trying to read them directly. If I can get to my real Facebook page.
Read the questions.
What?
Can read the questions, yes.
Okay, somebody's going to help me read the questions. Let me see. So, can you read one?
Yes. First question, there's someone who's asking, what's the status on the EAC party? And what's the road of EAC? And that's the question I see.
So very interesting. The EAC party is completely under control. As you're aware, after 2019, the government and other interests, special interests, wanted to hijack the party, and we ended up in court. But as it stands, even in their best attempts, they had no control of our structures, and we keep controlling them. We participated in various elections in 2019 after I came out of detention, and as it stands, we are in control of AAC. But we also would be honest to say we're in court, and I think February 22 is our next court and final appeal court hearing, after which we'll give a ruling. It's criminal INEC, government, and the political parties who are afraid of us, as we are seeing with the deactivation of my IDs now that are behind it. But in terms of AAC family and the political party as it is known, we are intact. I will say that to you. Yeah.
Okay, so
is there another question?
yes, there's another question. Someone is asking, how do you intend to carry on now without access to your money and your identities?
Well, the good news is that, well, which is not the best news, I've never had money. That much money to say, well, it was one of the things that surprised them when I was arrested and detained. They thought I was this multi-billion naira guy who went to Dubai to collect, according to them, $100 million. And when they saw that in my account, the GTB account that we're talking about now, I had only 1,800 naira. They were so disappointed, very, very disappointed. So as a result, they had to drop the money laundering charges, because they discovered that I'd never been to Dubai before. So, okay. Yes.
Someone else is asking, is that supposed to mean that you are no more a Nigerian?
No, nobody can de-Nigerianize me. I'm a Nigerian. You know, the interesting thing is that the people who are trying very hard to deactivate my citizenship are actually not Nigerians. One of them is Muhammad Buhari, who all of you know is from Niger Republic.
I see your voice is slow.
Yes, Buhari is from Niger Republic. You know, that's where he's building a train line to Maradi. That's his real hometown, and I'm serious. But I was born and bred in Nigeria, and nobody can remove my citizenship. This is just a foolish attempt to, you know, out of desperation, make sure that probably I don't participate in the 2023 election. But no matter what they do, it's just a waste of time. As I posted somewhere yesterday, you know, the idea that nothing on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. So just be sure that this is just a temporary, desperate attempt that will fail like the others have failed.
I think I saw some couple of questions too from Instagram.
Yes.
I'm trying to get access to them. Okay. Oh,
in the short while, what are you doing about your phones and your property that are still in DSS?
I think today when I went out, we for the first time today obtained the judgment that said they should release my phone. So the DSS will be officially served with the judgment tomorrow, and I hope that
they can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I hope that they will be reasonable enough to return my phones, upgraded to the latest iPhone, because when I was detained it was iPhone 12, right? I think there's an iPhone 13 now. So I'm not accepting anything less than an upgraded iPhone. And 2 million naira, and I have a 10,000 naira that they stole from me when I was arrested. There was another 10,000 naira that they took from me when I was abducted in court towards the end of 2019. So I'm entitled to all of this. So we'll start the process starting from tomorrow when we get served with the judgment of the court.
Someone is asking if you are running for 2023.
My standard answer has been I never stopped running since 2019. So the issue of running does not even come up. I think of all the candidates in 2019 election, I was the only one who never stopped running, because since 2019 you probably noticed me everywhere around the world until my passport was seized. I was in Greece. That was my last trip. Before Greece, I went to Mexico and I came to Nigeria. But nobody can claim that I have been absent. Every other candidate might have gone into hiding, but not me. Not me. Yes.
Someone has asked about 5 questions here, but 3 of them you had answered earlier.
Yes. What's pending?
But like someone said, what's your opinion on the general state of the Nigerian economy? And the same person is also asking, would you suggest or would AAC be merging or accommodating other young political parties to form?
If there are political parties, and I want to answer that first. Okay. If there are political parties whose ideals and ideas and ideology fits into our modes remotely, we'll be glad to welcome them. In fact, in the last 2 months, I've met 2 different political parties who have reached out. I don't want to mention their names now, so I don't start putting pressure on them, and discuss how they can possibly participate in our desire to totally and completely change the way Nigeria is structured right now, is governed right now, and is led right now. And we've had people come out of the major political parties, legacy parties of APC and PDP, saying they want to join us. Well, of course, we won't just take them on the face value, because this would require that we do a background check so that we don't get infiltrated. But you know, the major political parties have always said since 2018 and 2019 is the party of the people, you know, and this may not have a nomenclature that you know about, but I have no doubt that everybody's tired of the two major legacy parties and are looking for a new platform where they can fulfill their aspirations for a better Nigeria. So, sorry. So, that's where we are.
Yeah, the same person is asking, what's your general state of the Nigerian economy?
The Nigerian state doesn't have an economy right now. It's so sad because an economy that is dependent on borrowing money, you know, at interest rates that you can't even determine, is not an economy. An economy that can't pay salaries, an economy that doesn't have any capacity to generate, you know, income or revenue, is not an economy. The Nigerian economy is practically dead, and it would take a genius to revive it, and it cannot happen with major political parties, because the People's Democratic Party, as it's known, was the cause of where we are now before the All Progressives Congress took over in 2015, and it has just been a nosedive. I will be careful to reveal at this early stage what we'll do to revive the economy, because when we did it in 2018 and 2019, we just took our ideas and made it their own ideas. So when we tell you we want to be careful, please understand why we want to be careful, because we really need to be careful not to, in the early stages, reveal to these thieves our ideas. They are thieves, they are plagiarists, they are willing to take away your copyright of ideas, because there are no consequences for it in the political world, and they don't have ideas of their own. So just let's be careful not to reveal too much at this point.
Okay, someone else is asking, don't you think you want to come after your life?
Oh, there's nothing new about that. So I'm the least person you can threaten with that, because I actually think a lot of Nigerians are dead. So the worst that can happen has already happened. But on my part, I am willing to lay down my life to save the humanity that is based in this geographical location called Nigeria. And if you doubted it and thought it was a stunt in 2015 and in 2018 and 2019, you know better now. My life is at risk at all times, but I could have taken the easier option out, run away, escape, beg, apologize, or just stay chill or camp without offending the powers that be. But I've opted to take the opposite direction, which is to speak truth to power and confront and invoke the revolutionary zeal amongst Nigerians to say, look, enough is enough, and we're not going to accept this. You know, as we recently started using a new hashtag, we can't continue like this, and it means that we completely jettison the old order.
Okay, there was this question. Now that the government is tampering with your identity, will your name be on the ballot in 2023?
No, nobody can tamper with my identity as such, because my identity is my DNA. You can't change my DNA. You may change things on paper, but don't forget that even where this becomes a little difficult to deal with, we have some very competent lawyers who can challenge this in open court. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is one of my lawyers, one of Nigeria's most popular lawyers, and he's reached out that this will be challenged at all levels. So I know that part of what they want to create is that fear or create doubt in the minds of people if they could actually have their candidates on a ballot. And in this case, a lot of people have been reaching out to us to say, when are you running and are you going to be on the ballot? This is exactly what they want to create. But I say, don't worry, we will be on the ballot regardless of what they plan. It's not the first time they plan such things, and they won't be the last, but they will be disgraced and defeated.
Okay, there were complaints about sound issues on Instagram.
Alright, we will try to improve on sound issues on Instagram and our next broadcast as soon as we can resolve the issue. So, but you can go to Facebook. Do you have questions?
Yeah, so if I may ask, what do you have to say to young people? It's 2023 now. Young people have always been talking about
2022.
And 2023 we have the general election. And young people have always been about, we want this country to change, we want this country to change. So what do you have to say to young people about achieving this goal, life-changing goal?
Well, I will never stop saying that one of the things that brought me back on track regarding the hope for a better future for Nigeria was that very courageous act undertaken by young people in 2020, October 2020, during NSAS. I can't forget the events that led to NSAS and how young people tried very hard to challenge power, and they were attacked, muzzled, and suppressed. But it was a moment that people actually did wake up. And as I said somewhere a few days ago, I feel like young Nigerians have tasted blood, and they will not go back again to where things used to be, especially politically. 2012 was how the Goodluck Jonathan regime lost power. For me, 2020 was how the Buhari regime, his political party, the gerontocrats, the old people, lost power in this country because they left young people of Nigeria at the mercy of killers in Nigerian army, Nigerian police, and they were able somehow to defeat that period. Not to the best of my expectation, but what I find out is that a lot of younger Nigerians have become woke and alive to this desire to really bring about revolutionary change. They're just looking for that moment, they're looking for the process, and they're looking for the personality that will make it happen. That's why we're presenting ourselves. Everything I told young people in 2018 and 2019 that some never listened to came to pass. So we are here now to fulfill that desire to see and work towards a country that is ours and that can bring about this change. I hate to use the word change that we're all aspiring towards, and I believe that it can happen. I love to see all these big, rich, so-called grassroots politicians be defeated, totally defeated in 2023. But the process must start now. Yes.
Someone is asking that since the electoral system is porous in Nigeria, how do you intend to win?
I have said it, that I do not believe in the Electoral Commission. But I do believe in the power of Nigerians to change the objective condition by dictating at all levels how they want elections to be conducted, how they want Nigeria to be restructured, how they want Nigeria to be prosperous, how they want to bring about new leaders for Nigeria. In 2023 and beyond, or even if it is possible in 2022, that is starting from now, is the reason I never stopped, because I've seen it, that elections by themselves cannot change society. It has to be a deliberate process by those who are aspiring towards change to make it happen. So I'm not completely relying on just going for elections in 2023. That's why I'm able to speak differently from those who rehash and repeat, oh, we want election, vote for us. No. We are going to vote with our thumb and feet and our head in 2020. So those who are planning to change or use the electoral process against us must be prepared for the worst that they bring upon themselves.
So another person is also asking, I guess it's the same person. The person is asking if you still run alongside your previous running mate.
We haven't reached that point, and when we do, we'll keep informing people. I think in 2018, those who followed our campaign very diligently will understand that it was a gradual process, but we kept everybody informed, including democratically ensuring that they have a voice in who was chosen as VP. And when we presented the VP in 2018 and 2019, everybody was impressed. And even when we eventually appeared on national TV, everybody was like, this is the combination we've been looking for. And I'll guarantee you that will be the same situation in 2023. Well, starting from now.
So, for me, there's this issue there's this thing
Someone's actually asking if your phone has been released by the DSS.
No, it hasn't been released. They will serve the judgment tomorrow, we guarantee you that. And we'll give them time to release the phones. But let it be clear that whatever phones they're releasing must be upgraded to the current. Because that's the only acceptable thing, and they must pay us 2 million naira, and also the 10,000 naira and another 10,000 naira they stole from me twice.
Another person is asking, is a court order not needed for such action on your citizenship?
Well, we are considering all options, and I said Femi Fano, who is my lawyer, is considering all kinds of options. So we'll keep you updated. I think we have a letter of action already in place asking for them to reactivate these IDs, and if they don't within 7 days, they will face both legal and possible mass action.
So another question from Mr. Gan. Are you open to multi-ethnic and multi-ideal alliances with other political actors?
I'm glad they use the word political actors, but two actors you can never see me in bed with are the APCs and the PDPs of this world. That I will never engage in.
Sure. Can you include referendum into your program?
Yes, I already said that a referendum is a must. I also mentioned that as soon as Sowore becomes president, there will be a change of the constitution, like the South Africans did after the end of apartheid. And that constitution will include the right of self-determination, such that if any part of Nigeria wants to secede, we can have a referendum to determine that through a free and fair process. I'm totally in support of that Nigeria's constitution is due for a referendum. The 1999 constitution is a fraudulent document that was never made by Nigerians. It was made by the outgoing Nigerian military at that time. So referendum is a must as part of the governance process, the political process, and the new constitution as soon as we come in. It's a must. I mean it. You can trust me on that one. If there's any other question, please let me know. Well, having said that, I'm sure a lot of you are watching. I'm sorry that on Instagram you're not hearing me loud and clear enough. So we will fix that for next time, because I know a lot of fans are out there on Instagram, on Facebook. And next time we will also add a live stream on Twitter as part of this process of reaching out to Nigerians. There's no rocket science in all of this, as you guys know. We have been around dealing with the Buhari regime for some 6 years now, and we have been able to prove that a dictatorship, a despot, can be disappointed, can be disgraced and decimated. You know, they are reeling in pains now. They banned Twitter, they had to unban Twitter. They have had to take back a lot of things that they initially thought they could get away with. And it's because we stood our ground here. And I'm glad that I was privileged to be part of it, you know. Part of this whole process in Nigeria, from the city of Abuja, where typically nobody even had the right to move around and challenge those in power. And I'm not afraid, I've said this so many times, it's not something I say to impress anybody. You know, it's not a cliche, that I'm willing, if necessary, to lay down my life for my beliefs. And I think all of us should have that motive. We should have that attitude towards fighting dictatorship and bad governance. And we will rise up one day, you know, and take classes, you know, to honor our resilience against one of the most despicable regimes Nigeria or any country could have had, which is the Buhari regime, you know. So please, guys, get ready. What I want to tell you, because I see this a lot of times, I think a lot of people are tired, a lot of people are complacent, and a lot of people are scared. There's no reason to be scared. There's no reason to be scared. Had we not all been scared or too scared, we would have defeated the Buhari regime as far back as maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe we never even had a second time. But people are just too scared. And there are people who are not scared, or who are scared to transform or transport their fears, you know, masqueraded as intellectualism, you know, on these social media platforms, by always giving excuses why things are not the way they should be. We're used to them, but it is time for all of us to check ourselves, all of you to check yourself, you, and say, look, to hell with fear. They can't kill everybody, you know, and the more people you have who are challenging them, you weaken, you know, the regime. And the regime that is weakened is in the interest of justice, in the interest of peace, it's in the interest of development and prosperity for Nigeria. No regime in my lifetime had been as wicked as this. In fact, it would be an oxymoron to call this a democratically elected government, going by what they have done and what they're about to do to you. You know the situation with insecurity. As I'm speaking with you, probably there will be, since we started this live show, they probably killed up to 50 people in Zamfara, in Katsina, and other places across Nigeria. 2 governors came out today and said, contrary to the lies they've been telling to people, 2 local governments and several local governments are under the control of Boko Haram and bandits. And I think there was a governor of Zamfara and that of Borno who has said that, contrary also to what Buhari has been telling the public, because the man is a liar, that ISWAP and bandits have become even more active than they've ever been since the insurrection of Boko Haram started in 2009. So that's where we are. If you want to continue like this, I don't know what will be left in the next 17 months. Because Buhari is totally not in charge. The only thing he's in charge of is just waking up in the morning, he wants to travel, you know, they want to borrow money. And they borrowed Nigeria back to the Stone Age. It's just so sad. And I feel sad and I'm heartbroken that I'm sitting here and I'm trying to explain to people that this is something that we should never have to deal with in our future and the future of our children. But here we are. We have to keep speaking to these things until we get our country totally liberated. this is like having a second independence all over again. But this time around, it's an independence from our own local colonial masters. You know, black people like us. These are not British colonialists or some European colonialists. These are our own local colonialists. So.
Okay, there is a question saying, how are you coping with being away from your family for about 2 years now?
The answer I have is, think of it. Think of Mandela in 27 years, in which he only received letters from his family. Think about, you know, I shared detention with Dasuki, who was in detention for 5 years. You know about Ezakizaki. So I should be grateful that I'm actually physically out there, because they could have kept me in detention incommunicado that they did for 5 months, and family would not even come to. They don't even allow me to receive letters. A lot of Amnesty International activists wrote me letters. They were collecting letters and cards and burning them so that I will not feel that I have any kind of support. So it is hard, there's no question about it. This is not something that is easy on anybody. But at least with the help of technology, I'm able to reach family on a regular basis, talk to them. But it's just that physical touch that's missing. And I'm sure that will be restated as soon as possible. But you think also about people who are internally displaced, who don't even know where their families are as we speak. In Zamfara, in Katsina, in Kaduna, in Borno State, in Yobe State. So all of us are afflicted with the Buhari regime. It depends on how it touches you. In my own case, it's touching me by way of deprivation, decitizenization, torture, deployment of non-state actors to attack me physically on the streets, breaking my car glass windows and all that. But there are people who have been through worse things. There are people who are with their families whose lives are equally as uncertain as mine. And I feel for all of them. So I don't want to personalize my deprivation at the expense of the deprivation of the generator of the public.
So I think that people cannot.
How can they mobilize and get women involved in politics?
Well, I've said this many times. The decision by women to get involved in public politics has to be deliberate. Because we have women who are very, very active. I met a lot of them since I came out of detention in Abuja, the aspects in particular. But it's always that women have been, majority of our women have been conditioned to feel like, they have to be used as billboards, to display politicians' clothes. So whenever they go and make t-shirts, they go and make wrapper, they put it on women. But it's women that are actually most active. They are the most politically conscious. They are the easiest to mobilize, and they are the easiest. They are the better gender to mobilize people. Because they are well connected in society. And I wonder when women can have that process of rethink, say, look, maybe it's the time to actually take reins of power. Because I believe if all women in Nigeria were to unite today, a woman can become the president of Nigeria in a free and fair election without making that much effort. So it's up to you, women. Don't play second fiddle, and if you don't, you have the most power, and I hope you deploy it. But on our part, we've had situations in which we mentioned that as a deliberate policy, when we come to power, we will have a 50-50 cabinet in which women and men will have equal opportunities to sit on the table and have political positions. But again, it has to be deliberate. We can't force anybody to join, but we are willing and hopeful that more women will just come out there and assert themselves like they do now, but with less, tenacity in terms of ensuring that those numbers matter in a substantial way.
What gives you courage to keep fighting?
Oh, I don't know. But I just know it's the right thing to do. And if as soon as I'm convinced about something, I don't look back when I engage in that. So.
Okay. So, another person is asking, with the way you are now being restricted to only Abuja, can you still run for an election?
Absolutely. The restriction does not affect my right to run for election. I'm not a criminal. I've not been adjudged a criminal. And as you are all aware, even when they profile charges against me, they haven't been able to defend it. A judge had run away. I think 2 judges now had run away from my case. They've only been able to present 1 witness in 2 years. So it's not a problem at all. But that also can be challenged, and that's why we're in court on January 18, 2022 to put an end to the illegal and inhuman restriction to Abuja. I am probably the first person in modern history to be restricted to a city. The last time it was done was against Chief Obafemi Awolowo in 1963. After then, I'm the first Nigerian citizen to be restricted to a city. That I can't even get out of the periphery of Abuja. It's despicable. But they did this with the hope that they can shut me up and shut me down. And now they are regretting the fact that that is not happening. That's why you're seeing this whole deactivation of my identity card. They sponsor non-state actors to come to court. Federal High Court, for that matter, to attack me physically. Twice now they've attacked me physically for attending Nnamdi Kanu's trial. And all I call for is a fair and transparent trial for somebody you said is involved in all kinds of crimes and who was extraordinarily rendition to Nigeria. But I don't need to explain that. This is part of the burden of being a Nigerian at this time. I don't have any regrets for that. And I hope one day it will be over. And we can have a country we can call our own. This is not our country. This is not a country in reality, a nation.
Someone else is asking, can you help someone who is facing trial and what he knows nothing about?
I do that all the time. Of course, I told you we just went to the police headquarters today to assist someone who was illegally detained since last year by a businessman who is highly connected at Oeze. Since the last 2 years, we've gotten a lot of people out of jail by either legal or physical intervention. Why not? Just feel free to send me the information through my DM, direct messaging on the messenger on my Facebook page, or if you're on Instagram, you can do that on Instagram or on Twitter. So it's not a problem at all. We can always assign reporters. We make this available to reporters and also lawyers who have been assisting in getting this kind of cases exposed and resolved.
Yes, there's this question. Why do you find it difficult to work with youth of Nigeria?
I never found it difficult to work with youth of Nigeria. In fact, most of my friends, associates, are people who are way younger than I am. So, no, that's not correct. I cannot speak for youths who work for the very corrupt and deranged system, but I've never had a problem with young people. I've been there. I don't consider myself as a youth anymore because I'm 50. I'm going to be 51 years old in February 16th specifically, and but I feel youthful and I operate within that horizon.
What's your plan for Nnamdi Kanu agenda if you become president?
I think of all the people who are going to be, who you could refer to as people aspiring for a better Nigeria, including people from the southeast. I'm the closest to Nnamdi Kanu. I've worked with him the most, I understand him the best, and I've carried his case on my sleeves, on my shoulders, as if he was my blood brother. So nobody knows Nnamdi Kanu more than I do. Nobody understands perhaps the Biafran struggle more than I do. And it's part of why I suffer today, is because I've identified with it. Yeah? Okay, the volume is low again. Is that the same thing with Facebook? Okay.
The mouthpiece of this one is faulty.
Okay. We'll try and fix all of this in our next.
Can you create a new image or an image of a new Nigeria that, you know, all of us will be proud to call ours?
Well, I've always represented that, but maybe within a model of, you know, and we've been talking about it, it's like, you know, where we can have a contrast between the old Nigeria, the Nigeria Jaga Jaga we have now, and the Nigeria that is possible. So we'll be working on that and making that available, both by way of text, videos, and other means of presentation. But I don't think it's difficult to consider, considering that I'm someone who is widely traveled and seen how things work in other parts of the world. And I'm very convinced that I can make things work here. It's not just a conviction, it's a promise. You know, and it's just not a fake promise like you're used to. It's something I would say, look, if I tell you I'm going to make certain things happen and they don't happen in 2 years, I'll resign as president. Yes. All right, I think maybe it's in the interest of our tech team to take a break and resume when we fix the tech problems on our platform. But definitely, I just wanted to reach out because there's been a lot of questions about my citizenship in the last 24 hours. And I think it's interesting and important to reassure people that I am still a citizen of Nigeria. This is just a temporary, desperate effort by the Muhammadu Buhari regime and their minions to make me look like I'm not a Nigerian, but I am. It was deliberate on my part never to seek the citizenship of another country, because this is where I was born and this is how I would prefer to live and die in Nigeria. Alright, so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to this brief conversation on the couch. Like I said, we're working to ensure that this becomes a regular occurrence, and that we have constant conversation, interaction, and interface with those of you who have followed over these years. It would have been my pleasure to open Facebook and Instagram, and as we usually do, just personally thank a lot of you, but that's coming up soon, because I know our friends and fans, old and new, returning, and those who have just come, I would like to one of these days just dedicate and devote a whole broadcast to just greeting you, because you have been standing with us for a long time now. We appreciate that. But in the meantime, just thank you so much. We will be back, and I mean it. We will be back bigger and stronger. So on that note, let me just say good night from Abuja, Nigeria, until we see you again. Don't forget, if you are in Nigeria, Nnamdi Kanu's trial is January 18th and 19th. I was in court the last time. Those are the dates fixed by the judge. We also, on our part, have a court of appeal hearing on the 18th, which is to discard the onerous bail conditions imposed on my person. So those days, please come out. I need to say to our Biafran brothers who are very active on these social media platforms, you're wasting your time if you're relying on all those old men who go to beg Buhari for Kanu's release. Buhari doesn't understand the kind of language they speak. The language he understands is the language you speak, and you know the language. So if all of us could be at the Federal High Court on the 18th and 19th in large numbers, you might get Kano back on the 20th. I can bet and guarantee you this. But if you are sending traditional rulers, religious leaders, and all these tired old people from the East who don't really believe in the struggle you're fighting, just pretending, and some of them are doing it to save their heads, well, I wish you luck. But let's continue to talk, interact, offline and online. I'll be available as soon as I'm alive. And I just want to say, revolution.
No.